Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet some real estate moguls. They're also the hosts of a very popular podcast on our network called the Mylo and Ben podcast. Next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
All right, on this show, we're going to talk about all things real estate and growing the real estate empire with some very successful folks who are in my studio. They also have a wildly successful podcast on our network called the Mylo and Ben podcast. Joining us in studio, Mylo, Ben, and Bruce, who's the producer of the show. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, yes. You got me nervous because I've watched your show, and you already encouraged me to drop the jacket because this is a very informal show.
Well, nervous should have been if I told you to unbutton your buttons. But since I'm married, you're safe.
All right, let's talk about real estate for a few minutes. So, I mean, obviously, in the last 3 years, real estate has changed thanks to interest rates where they are. 4 years ago, anybody who could fog a mirror could be successful in mortgages and real estate. And it's gotten challenging in the last few years, which I think is good for you because the folks who are real survivors and thrivers are the folks who have survived these last few years. So Mylo, let's start with you. Let's talk about the real estate market. What are you seeing right now?
Well, so Ben is the realtor.
Okay.
So for real estate, Ben would be better. For me, it's more mortgage industry because that's our partnership. So take it away. What do you see in the real estate market?
Well, the market goes in waves, right? So it's like you mentioned 3 years ago, it was a crazy market where people were overbidding and it was a hot mess.
Yes.
and we had to get super creative. Like him and I had to get creative with winning offers or getting our list. Well, listings are selling like that. So.
Yes. Financing.
Yeah, financing. We have to get super creative and just do things other people weren't doing, and and now it's done a complete different route. What is it, a 180?
So now it's a 180. We're still trying to be creative in financing and offers, but it's a whole different ballgame.
It's more of a buyer's market, at least right now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So, we're just trying to make it work. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing in the industry right now. Just it's making its wave around.
And mortgages and real estate go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So as the real estate market goes, so does your company. Yeah. What have you experienced, Mylo?
So for mortgages, post-COVID, it became a cluster. I'm not going to curse.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'd like to come back. A real cluster because people stopped working from all intents and purposes, right? You started getting these checks for if you qualified.
Yeah.
You started to realize, if I live a certain lifestyle, I don't really need to work as hard.
Yes.
Which is great, great for the awakening. But if your shift in mentality doesn't go along with a shift in budget,
yes,
now you want the same expensive things, but you're not willing to work for them.
Yes.
So for us, and then you've got higher rates. Right. So as the rates get higher, inflation is still rising. You've got higher rates, higher, home prices, less purchasing power. And people were not understanding it. And, Ben and I have this conversation a lot about what gets put out by realtors and real estate industry. Oh, rates. Don't what is it? Don't marry the house. Don't marry the rate.
No, date the rate. Marry the house.
So stupid. It's the stupidest saying ever.
I've said it. I've said it at some point. Date the rate, marry the house. I've said
stupid.
it.
Anyway, I mean, it made sense, but stop talking about the rate.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what all of us should be talking about in mortgage and real estate is budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
What can you afford? What are you willing to sacrifice to buy that?
Yes.
And when someone says, well, my friend only pays, okay, but your friend lives in an apartment.
Right.
Yeah. And everyone's circumstances are different, right?
Yes.
So like that's one of the biggest, I would say my biggest pet peeve is that like, oh, my cousin got a house for this and this and this, you know, and it's like,
Right.
I don't know what what year that was, what market that was. We talked about the market 3 years ago. It's a different market today, right? So
Well, I'd love your impression on this because I've seen so many headlines that said the American dream is dead because, you know, going back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s is you married, you got a house. And now Gen Zs, I've read headlines that say Gen Zs want to rent forever.
Well, so, you know, we get all our news from the TikTok. You love the TikTok. And it's funny you bring it up because there was this whole thing with Gen Z, these few of them, and talking about what they needed to make and what the parent, you know, what did the boomers make comparatively, right?
Right.
And minimum wage now would have to be $60 an hour.
No kidding.
But what Gen Z doesn't understand is you're trying to do, my experience with a lot of Gen Zs, you're trying to do the least.
Right.
So when you're trying to do the least, you can't expect the most.
Yeah.
Period, end of story. If you want something, I'm Gen X. I was raised, if you want it, you work for it. If you have to take 2 jobs, if you have to sacrifice something, then that's what you do. Otherwise, you don't really want it.
Yes.
So my attitude is, if you want it, make it happen. As a loan officer, my job sometimes with Ben's clients and other realtors that I work with, their clients, is to create a plan.
Yes.
Not everybody's ready today.
Yes.
And that's part of the problem with our world, right? It's buy now, quick now, you know, everybody's razzmatazz, razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
No, sometimes it takes, listen, I bought my first house 3.5 years ago. Would I have liked to have bought it in my 20s like one of my friends just did, Jacob? Absolutely, but I wasn't there.
Yes.
And I think you can't compare what your parents did 30, 40 years ago to what's happening now because it's not apples to apples.
Sure. Right. So when you're talking to a Gen Z who says, I'm just going to rent forever, I'll never own a home, what do you say to that person, Mylo?
Great. Do you have a friend who wants to buy a house? Because I'd love to help them with a loan.
But I mean, and part of your process, and we're going to put up your website and scroll down the website, is like the American dream is still alive and well. You have to figure out, you have to have a path. You can't just wake up and say, I'll never have a house.
Well, we wouldn't be here,
Yeah.
right? I wouldn't have a brand new mortgage company. I wouldn't be living the life that I live. We're closing loans and starting generational wealth for lots of families every year. But some people, you know, one of the conversations I have with clients sometimes is you have to reshape your dream, right? Just because you want to buy a $750,000 house doesn't mean you should yet,
Right.
or even that you can yet.
Right.
Let the first house be the starter home.
Yes.
Let equity build and upgrade, right? There's nothing wrong with waiting and moving steadily. I didn't buy my dream house. I bought what I could afford, what made sense. And now, you know, I'm married. We talk about changing, right? Upgrading, changing, maybe a pool, maybe. So people don't live in houses for 35 years anymore. So don't buy like you're going to.
So when a buyer comes to you, Mylo, and you see that their credit is challenged, you're not trying to get them into the most expensive home because they may not be able to afford that home.
No, what Ben is really good at when we work together, you know, Ben does his initial client consultations and he vets them.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So we just we start with like monthly budget and where that looks like for you, right? And then sometimes they have a great budget, right? And we don't need to do all that, or sometimes it's where they're like, it's a really low budget, and I have to bring them back to you know, reality and say, hey, like, you know, in this market, you're probably not gonna get away with this, right? I just think people are motivated by their circumstances. So like you mentioned earlier, or somebody mentioned earlier about how Gen Z they want to rent forever. I think that's true until they don't. Do you know what I mean? So like once they have a family, they want a yard, things like that. That's the motivating factor at that point. That's what I have to figure out for them. Like, what's keeping you in this apartment, or what, where are you at? Like, how can I get you to your house? Right. And once we figure out that motivating factor, then we figure out how to get them to the closing table. And
Yes.
people with credit issues or whatever, we figure out, okay, look, we need to budget this. You know, we got to figure out lifestyle changes to get you there, and we have those conversations up front with them.
And Ben, if somebody has this, I've sworn off, I'm never going to be a homeowner. I'm always going to rent.
Yeah.
You'll be 60 or 70 and never build up equity. You'll never really have any assets.
And I'm not in the business to convince people to buy a house. I think when the issue is new real estate agents are like, and that's something that I had to learn just over time, just, you know, being in the industry. I'm not trying to convince anyone to buy a house, right? If you're ready, you're ready. And I rather you come to me when you're in that mindset of owning. But I do agree. And I calculate, it's a harsh reality sometimes when you're calculating somebody's rent payment per month and you calculate it per year. And that's like usually between at least $20,000 to $30,000 a year that you're putting towards somebody else's mortgage, which is kind of cheesy to say, but it's true, you know? And once I've kind of calculated, like I just did this 2 days ago for somebody, I'm like, you've spent $60,000 on this house that's not yours. Right. Like, oh my goodness. So sometimes you have to like just give people factual things, and it's a harsh reality, but it makes sense to them.
Do you think the market will ever come back to the good old days? I mean, will we
have 3%? No.
So, well, let's talk about why that was. The reason why we even had that low rate craziness is because of COVID, and COVID. I remember we weren't even allowed to show houses. We were doing video tours.
The Fed was trying. I mean, listen, the government was trying to make sure that the whole country didn't collapse.
Yeah.
Because if the housing market in every state goes, so goes the country.
Yeah.
Right. And so for the mortgage industry, COVID was fantastic. We love COVID. Yes. We were busy because inflation had sort of stalled, rates had dropped, people were sitting at home with nothing else to do.
Right.
Why not buy a house? I hate this apartment. Like it was the timing. It was great. It's not going to happen again. The first time I was looking to buy a house, rates were at 10%. So rates now are somewhere between 5.5% to 7%, depending on what type of loan and what type of credit, you know, and that's normal.
Right.
That's the new normal. People just have to understand what Ben and I are both really good at is breaking things down into sort of, listen, you're paying $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. Right. Nobody thinks, oh, I'm spending $24,000 this year on rent. Right. What they're thinking is, I'm paying $2,000 a month. What I sometimes have to remind people of is they say, oh, well, you know, I don't want to spend all my money. You're not. Right. You're taking $20,000 of your 30 you have saved, and you're putting it into your home. Right. It's going from Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, whatever, to the first home of, you know, Gordon E. Smith, if that's, it's your money. And the return, typically in Texas, you're talking about 5% per year. Wow. You don't get that kind of return when you invest. Right. Right. And there's for sure a loss, bigger risk, right, than if you invest in your home. So we're really educating people on the mortgage side. You know, at Inclusive, my company, listen, this is a long-term investment. Even if you're not trying to be in here for longer than 5 years, then let's look at what's the cheapest, easiest road, right? Cash is king if you want to keep it on hand, but you got to play the options. And the thing that I think we're both really good at, is why we work together so well, is not pressuring people and giving them options.
Yes. You do something really fun when you do a closing. Everybody holds up a sign. So we're going to show some video of this. Tell us about the sign and the ritual that you created.
Yeah. So, you know, I try to go to every closing. People, again, it's a long-term relationship. We're not trying to be transactional. And so for me, it's a moment to capture pure joy, right? It's relief. We made it, we've funded it, we've signed it, we're homeowners now, or homeowners again, we've upgraded, whatever it is. And so the sign says Mylo is my LO, which, you know, my name is basically my LO for loan officer. And so I make them, it's called a boomerang, so I make them move the sign. So sometimes, you know, when I post it, I call it the shimmy wiggle, or the shimmy stank leg two-step, or, you know.
And it's funny because sometimes we have like the most like uptight people in there, and he gets them to do it. It's so funny. He's like, just move it a little bit.
Yeah, I tell them, listen, move them hips like you made them babies. And they get it.
Yeah. Some of them don't.
Yeah, some of them.
It's just this.
Yeah, some of them, you know, the wife did the work to get that big.
All right, I want to talk about your very popular podcast. How many episodes have you done so far?
Oh my God, where we are like,
I think we're recording episode 12 this week.
yeah, I think we're in the double digits for sure.
Amazing. Okay, we're going to share some video from the podcast, and it's a very loose podcast. So
Excuse me, sir. Pardon me.
so when I looked at several of your episodes as I was preparing for this show,
Did you blush?
I blushed a couple of times. I'll be honest. So, what's the impetus for the show? Why did you decide to start it?
You know, people. So I did something on Facebook for a long time called Mondays with Mylo. It had more impact than I realized it had, and it at one point it just started to. I felt really responsible for people's wellness, and I stepped away from it. And then people just say, a lot of people will say to me, "You're so funny. You have such a big personality. You should have a TV show." And I had a digital magazine a few years ago. So I wanted to step out again into a different type of marketing.
Yes.
And Ben and I, I think our friendship is really special and unique, honestly. And I said to him, we make videos together, and we started doing this and that videos.
Yeah.
Which people just loved us.
People are cracking up, laughing at them. It got a bunch of views on social media.
Thousands of views, and we were like, "What is?" It's almost like Lucy and Ricky, or the Odd Couple. It's like, what doesn't match here? Okay, but it works. And so I said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast with me?" And he was like, And Ben is very methodical about cost and timing, and he overthinks things. I'm like, girl, let's just do it.
All right, Bruce.
He gave it.
I gave it. I'm here.
All right, let's bring you in on this, Bruce, because you're one of the producers on the show. So how do you approach the show as a part of a business strategy?
So I kind of just try to give them the ideas. Like I just try to give them like a basic outline to go off of for each episode, and then but they just kind of go up on their own.
I like the outline.
I feel like the outline gets created and sent and then never opened. So
I glanced at it.
It's so funny because our podcast is kind of laid back, so we'll have like an idea or an outline, and then I try to follow it. But Mylo, he goes on a tangent. I go on tangents too, but Mylo will go on a tangent, and I'm like, well, let's bring it back in to the topic, right? But it's cool. I think that's what makes it fun, and I think that's what people like about it.
I feel like my favorite podcasts and things of that nature are two people or a group of people that have really good chemistry, and that's basically how it's structured. Is like, we're going to talk about groceries today, and then it'll start off on that, and then it'll go off, and it's fun to see like where it goes, and then if it ever gets tied back or not. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I think that's why it has such a loose, kind of laid back feel to it.
Beautiful, and I'm 25 years of TV news. You can tell I'm still in my reporter uniform.
Well, you have us all sitting straight up.
But what I love about your show is if they met you in the grocery store, Ben, Mylo, you're exactly the person that they saw on TV.
And that's the point. That's literally the point of the podcast, is that we were like, we're in sales. At the end of the day, it is what it is, right? And people want to work with people they like. There's a million real estate agents.
Yes.
and a lot of mortgage people, right? And people don't typically want a stale transaction or like very, I think that way of doing business is kind of outdated, right? At least the Gen Zers, right? And the young people. So that we just try to like make it more fun and a good experience for people. And I think that's why we continue to get businesses, because of that. It's a fun experience.
All right, what's been the highest compliment you've received since you started the show?
Referral. I'm going to say mine is referral based. Like when people continue to send me their friends and family, that just means they trust me. And that is the highest form of a compliment there. But
I think for me, it was somebody said, I needed to hear what you guys said. It really affected me. Yeah. I needed that. And I think that's really why I do what I do, whether it's the podcast, the mortgage. I want to be there to affect change, positive change in somebody's life. Yeah. So for us, the podcast, listen, he's right. There are 1,000,005 choices for realtors in Texas, Dallas, North Texas. It's so competitive. Same thing with mortgage brokers or mortgage companies. We're trying to show you this is exactly who we are.
Yes.
We want to bring our people to us
Yes.
so that when we have the transaction, they are loose, to quote you, right? They're comfortable. They know what they're getting. You
Yes.
know, I had a realtor call me, and it's almost the same thing I said to you before we started recording. I was like, do you know what you... He said, I've been following you on Facebook. I know exactly what I'm getting. I want to work with you. I said, okay. Because, you know, we are two gay Hispanic men, and we are claiming a space that traditionally has not been welcoming for us. And for me in the mortgage company, I'm past trying to get a seat at the table. I've created the same way you created your business, which is amazing, right?
Thank you.
I'm creating my own space, my own table, and inviting my own people.
Do you have any competition whatsoever?
Yeah, me. I'm my
I like
competition.
that. I like that.
I don't know what anybody else is doing. Ben will ask me it sometimes, or other people. Do you know so-and-so? I don't know who that is. I don't keep up with what other people are doing. I wasn't raised like that.
Yeah.
My grandfather told me when I was very young, there's always going to be somebody bigger, better, faster. So don't worry about it.
And I love the name of your company, Inclusive Lending LLC.
Yes.
All right. How long did you wrestle, or how did you come up
It
with
was pretty quick, right, Bruce? I think it was
Yeah.
maybe the third choice.
Designing the logo took longer than coming up with the name.
Yeah, I knew exactly the thing about me, and I think both of them will attest to it, as my best friend and my husband.
I'm the best friend.
Yes.
This is the husband.
When I know what I want it, and I don't really, it's there. Like, things happen at the right time for me, and Inclusive was born in March. It was the right name, and because I felt excluded for so many years of my life for so many different reasons, I didn't want anyone to occupy that space. So it's inclusive. It is, whether you're gay, straight,
In between.
male, female, whatever. Like I've always said I'd like a rainbow, Benetton rainbow of hires to work for the company, because I want to help everybody who wants a home.
Is there another inclusive, like, real estate / mortgage company in Dallas?
Not that I know of, because I have my own LLC. So if there is,
Wow.
good luck
You'll
to
be hearing
them.
from our You'll be hearing from our lawyers.
Good luck.
But congratulations. I mean, I think you've really carved out an interesting niche. What are your hopes for the podcast? What are your dreams?
I think just attracting our tribe, attracting our people, people wanting to work with us, wanting to, talk to us, be friends with us. I think that's what it is, just showing our other
A TV show.
a TV show.
Yes.
Ben is very work centric, and I am too. But for me, I have bigger hopes for the podcast. I want the podcast to really take off. One of the things we don't really talk about much is mortgage and real estate on our podcast.
I noticed that. You did a whole show on luxury bags.
Yeah. We did a whole show on Mariah Carey, Cher, Madonna.
Yeah.
It's really
So
just
on brand. Yeah.
two friends talking about life, and because I'm not just a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
He's not just a realtor. Right. We are more than that. So ultimately, I would like the podcast to keep growing into whatever it's destined to be. I don't see a limit for it.
Yes. Okay, Bruce, I think you have the most challenging job in the whole group, which is keeping these mavericks on track. So when you plan a show and then they go rogue on the show, I mean, what is your greatest challenge / opportunity?
I mean, honestly, it's pretty easy. I also work in the mortgage industry. I'm the processor at Inclusive Lending. So that's basically what I'm doing when they're filming, is sitting outside of the studio working on my files.
Yeah.
I trust that they're gonna come up here and just do what needs to be done, and they always do. They always deliver every time. So it's really just giving them a basic outline to have something to refer back to, so that there's never any dead air. But they're like the easiest people to produce, because there's nothing to produce, really.
Bruce, I didn't mean to cut you off. Bruce gave us a really big compliment. I didn't really share it with Ben because I didn't think about it at the time. Bruce said, I love the podcast. I haven't cringed once. Because he watches it with me.
Wow.
And for Bruce to say it, Bruce and I are very similar in we will cut you like a sharp blade, but we're also respectful. So for him to say that, he would tell me, listen, I love you, but your podcast sucks.
Yeah, I would.
So, and I expect him to. The other thing I love about Bruce and even Ben is Bruce knows you can't contain this.
Yeah.
You got to just let me be, let me do what I do. Ben does it too. Ben tries to wrangle me in a little bit. I try to push Ben outside. I try to take Ben's coat off too. The last episode we recorded, he was asking me stuff and I was talking, and I finally just said, everybody, it's not that I don't want to ask him these questions. I'm not allowed to ask Ben these type of questions.
Go ahead,
Give us the thing.
Give us a thing.
Yes, Ben likes to say he is an ogre.
Oh my goodness! So ogre. Not that so Shrek is one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you've seen Shrek. Shrek talks about how he is like an onion and you have to peel away layers. I say this I don't know how many times on the podcast, but I've said it several times.
As many times as you play with your hair, girl.
and I look at the camera at the pump, I can't help myself. But I think I'm such a I'm really outgoing, but it's hard for me to just let people in sometimes. I think the podcast is helping me open up a little bit more and more. So my cousin watches it all the time and he's like, I can see your confidence growing in each episode. So it's like, thanks. So it's kind of like therapy almost for me. You know what I mean? The podcast. So I really enjoy it.
I love that. Okay, Mylo, we're almost out of time, so I'm going to give you the final word. So when you're working with your husband and your best friend,
yes,
I mean, there's some dynamics there, and we all want to build a company, but there's many family companies that fall apart because there's not that same respect or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of noise out there.
Yes.
So what makes this work?
Honesty and trust. Bruce and I personally, and even with the business, because he is one of the star players in Inclusive. He's my right hand. It's respect. When things aren't going well, when I get frustrated, I'm not disrespectful to him.
Yes.
I said, listen, we need to have a chit chat. This is what I need. He receives it, and things get better. With Ben in our friendship, even professionally, Ben is great about, and I think all three of us are great about being open to feedback.
Yes.
We all want to be better versions of ourselves. We understand that if one of us says something to the other, it's not coming from petty or anger. It's really, listen, I'm trying to help you be better.
Yes.
And for the podcast, even our friendship, Ben helps me become a better person. Like I tell Ben, I've said to Ben repeatedly on the show and in private, listen, you're so brave. I admire you. You inspire me. I respect you. He has said the same thing to me. I've said that to Bruce. There's just a mutual love and respect that we all have. And if there's ever a time that Ben says, listen, I love Mylo and Ben, the podcast, but I'm ready to, I'm out, then I have to let him go. You want to see your friends fly. And if the space you've created is now confining, you let them move on. Now, if Bruce wants a divorce, that ain't happening. Let me put that on Bill now. Ben wants the show to become Mylo and Friends. Listen, he come back. Guess who? Bruce ain't going no fucking way. Leave that one out.
That is a mic drop moment. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being so loose and so transparent. We're going to end with the website, which is inclusivelendingllc.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thanks
guys.
for having us.
For coming on the show.
Yes,
I
our pleasure.
appreciate you. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.